I got the pleasure of introducing John McClellan. John, I'm going to focus on two things, his designations at the end of his name, CCIM and SIOR, and what that means. So CCIM is a certified commercial investment member, and basically what that means is that John is not only proficient in theory, but also in practice, and that's important. That's why he's here today. The second, the SIOR, is a Society of Industrial and Office Realtors. That's a worldwide designation. There's only 3,200 in the world, and we have one in this room, John McClellan.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you to the sponsors and all that gobbledygook we all say, so let's get on with it. Where have we been in commercial real estate? Everybody wants to know about commercial real estate, what's happening. Where have we been? So when I was here a year ago, we talked about transactions, and in 2017, we had about 220 commercial real estate transactions. Now I've expanded my territory this year to include Dorchester County and as well as Sussex County, which was not included last year. Unfortunately, with all respect to Julie, I do not have access online to Accomack County stats. So we're gonna have to focus just on the 5 counties. But 220 transactions in 2017 with a recorded sales volume of $143 million. These are commercial or non-residential improved transactions. So that looks like a lot of money with an average transaction of $711,000. So we all hear the economy's better in 2018. It's been a good year. It's been one of my best years. So let's see what it's all about. We actually currently, I couldn't get the actual fixed listings from 1 year ago, but that number is significantly higher than what I'm accustomed to at 370 active commercial improved listings in the 5 counties. However, year-to-date sales transactions, we're down to 195, which is actually down 11.4%. However, recorded sales volume is up 191 to 191 million, about 33 or almost 34%. I want to make sure I'm staying with this. Now, that sounds like, okay, so volume's up, numbers are down. The average sale transaction increased by almost 40% to $982,000. Why did that happen? Well, a couple of notable deals. In Wicomico County, we had $81 million of transactions. However, 19 million of those, oops, I skipped ahead, sorry. 19 million of that was in the Safford car dealership alone. That's the recorded real estate value. 14 million of it was in the North Point Plaza. If you all are familiar with North Salisbury, that's basically the Home Depot Plaza, but doesn't include Home Depot and doesn't include Target. They own their own stores, but it's kind of everything around there. So now you're seeing why average volume might be up even though transactions were down. Worcester County had 50 transactions with about $10.4 million in 2 transactions for PRMC and one $7 million oceanfront transaction. That's a big chunk of it. Somerset County, 11 transactions. I'm gonna click ahead here, sorry. But about 80% of that was in 1 transaction in Somerset County. Dorchester County, 9.5 million with 1 transaction, a large Woods Road industrial facility sold a few weeks ago. Sussex County, 164 transactions, $36 million, but there was also some large transactions, one large one on Rehoboth Avenue, and Waste Management consolidated 3 facilities into a new facility in Laurel. Okay, that's enough numbers for now. Where are we? No, we're not just at Salisbury University. I wonder how many people really know that where we are is we are in the Salisbury Metropolitan Statistical Area. If you're not into census tracking, if you're not into population studies, what the heck does that mean? What is the Salisbury, or you'll hear it called the Salisbury MSA? It's actually a 4-county area that gets called Salisbury. So you'll hear Mayor Day do a lot of promotion about Salisbury. Very true. It's the Salisbury MSA when we talk about some of the stats and statistics. So is that fair to say Salisbury is 4 counties? I would say that it is. How many of you have gone to the beach in the last 12 months? You've done business in Worcester or Sussex County. How many people have been to the mall and seen cars with Delaware or Virginia plates on them? How many have been our friend, I don't know whether Chris is back there, whether Steve's still here. I imagine you see a few patients from Sussex County and from Accomack County. So I'm gonna argue that the MSA being 4 counties is a fair analogy and a fair comparison of how our economy works. We've had a lot of people talk about the region and what's in the region and how we all need to collaborate in the region. I'm going to say that's why we have this MSA, because it is our ecosystem. It is more than just 1 county or 2 counties. It's 4 to 5 counties, and they didn't include Dorchester in it. They didn't include Accomack in it, but I'm going to say that's part of our ecosystem as well. We had 133rd most populous MSA. That doesn't sound real remarkable until you kind of sit back and think, well, we live in a small town. We live in a small area. It's kind of rural. Agriculture is our #1 industry. Well, in reality, you know, we've got almost 500,000 people here in 2017. So 400,000 people is a big trade area. And that doesn't include, as one of the speakers says, our 300,000 other friends that show up every week between Memorial Day and Labor Day. So we've got a pretty dynamic area. Of course, we all know what our specialized industries are. Median household income, again, $54,000. That's not particularly outstanding, but keeping in mind that a lot of the new population in this area and the visitors in this area are coming with a higher average income, furthering our economy. So instead of just an MSA, we really are so much more of a region. And we also had a 7th fastest growing job market. How many knew this? Realtor Magazine did a study of emerging markets, and they identified Salisbury, Maryland as the #1 secondary market expected to break out. That's based on a whole lot of demographic studies, building permits, cultural aspects, population growth. That's something we can all hang our hat on and tell people about it. When you're talking about, well, where do you live? Well, I live in Salisbury or Rehoboth or Lewis or Accomack, wherever I live. That's a big deal. I mean, it's an opinion of some researchers, but it's a big deal that we got identified as the top market expected to break out. So why are we here? Why is this home? Why do we live here? Why is our businesses here? I think cost of living, somebody talked about it earlier, it's significantly less on the Eastern Shore than it is in the Baltimore, Washington area. Of course, we have all the amenities we love in the summers and even in the winter seasons. Traffic, transit, and commuting. The average commute time in this MSA, according to the Census Bureau, 23 minutes. It takes me about 15 minutes. I know a lot of people commute longer, but it's a whole lot less than getting stuck in a major traffic jam in Baltimore, Washington, or Wilmington. With deference to my friend Chris Eccleston, we're not just a community, we're a community. And I think that's very true because just about everybody in this room knows everybody else in this room. I was at the United Way event last Saturday in Cambridge, and you know, I swear I knew almost everybody there. There was 500 people there. But it's because this community comes together more so than, say, a major metropolitan area where you are commuting 40 miles to work or 40 minutes to work, and you're not going to know near as many people or be able to get near as much done. You know, obviously we have 2 great universities and 2 great community colleges. That's an asset. Bill Pfaff from Sussex County left, but I didn't really steal it from him. Location is the real estate knowledge term or whatever. But if you go to Sussex County Economic Development, first of all, it's called Excite Sussex, which I kind of thought was pretty interesting. But it says right across the banner, it's all about the location. And it is all about the location, not only from the lifestyle and the transportation and demographics. From a business standpoint, where are we? We're 2 hours from how many major markets? 2.5 from Philly and 2 from Washington, Baltimore, 2.5 from Virginia Beach. I forget off the top of my head, Dave Ryan could tell me, but we are within about 3 or 4 hours from about 1/3 of the U.S. population. That's a tremendous location to be. Our economic diversity, from agricultural to health sciences to education to microwave industries to just all those industries keep us from being so sucked into one category. Even through the recession, we didn't experience a lot of big box closures. We didn't experience a lot of major industrial closings. Thank God we don't have a GM plant here. I don't mean that in a bad way, but, I mean, that's bad news for an industry or an area that heavily relies on one segment. And I think we need to take advantage of that. So how do we keep winning? How does our area stay strong? Well, first of all, we need to welcome new and growing businesses. I don't know, there's Dave Ryan still here? Is he hiding out there somewhere? I told him I was going to shout him out. Okay, there he is. Okay. Anyway, we can't be like them. What's them? I'm working with a company who just yesterday reached agreement on terms to buy a manufacturing facility in Wicomico County. Small company, less than 10 employees. They came to us after looking around here because they were dealt by 3 counties on the Western Shore who said their questions were not about what are you going to do to grow and create jobs and increase economic activity. How much traffic are you creating? Are you creating noise? Well, where are your people going to park? You're not going to build anything, are you? I mean, the guy said every question they asked was negative. And he shouted out, he said, Dave Ryan, I've never been welcomed by such a fantastic and welcoming economic development official. So let's have a shout out for Dave Ryan. So we've got to continue to not be like them, whoever them is. We have to encourage outside investments. We all have all kinds of visitors, the 350,000 people that come every weekend, but we've got so many other activities that bring outside dollars in, whether it's new companies bringing major investments in. We're working with the people who acquired Bar Freightliner and Bar International. They're building a ginormous trucking facility on the bypass at Route 50 and Naylor Mill Road that's going to break ground pretty soon. We've got to be able to streamline companies like that coming in here, consolidating, expanding. They're going to build about an 80 or 90,000 square foot trucking facility for truck dealerships. It's going to change the landscape of Route 50. So we've got to continue to encourage that. Things like the National Folk Festival, things like the softball tournament, all those outside dollars that come in and do business at your jobs and our businesses, that drives what I like, that drives commercial real estate. We have to collaborate across the region. We've heard that all morning, and I was glad to hear that, but we have to reach out, not just business to business, not just government to government, government to business, business to government, community organization to community organization. If we work and act like a region, we will be a region, and our MSA will continue to grow. We are an MSA, we should work harder. We need to leverage the assets we have. We have such vital transportation assets. You heard about an amazing airport we have with a tremendous vision for its growth. We've got water transport. We've got an amazing rail system. If you haven't met Cliff Grunstra, the railroad czar over here. I mean, Delmarva Central Railroad and Carload Express is not just your old Norfolk Southern or Conrail. They're really trying to leverage what's happening and use that infrastructure, which just like Don Beach, that takes cars off the Bay Bridge and allows us to get over there without having to fight as much commercial traffic. You heard all about Wallops. I mean, that's just an amazing hidden gem. And you ask anybody that's not really involved in real estate or development about if they ever heard of Wallops Island that isn't from here. No, I haven't. Have you heard of Cape Canaveral? Oh yeah, everybody has. Well, why haven't you heard of Wallops? We need to tell the story. It's an amazing asset. We have huge educational resources we've talked about. Medical resources you've heard about. We have cool towns. I mean, Berlin was voted the coolest town. Salisbury is a really cool town. Cambridge, we heard all about the vibrant activity going on in Cambridge. Lots of cool towns. Ocean City's kind of always been a cool town. But we've got to take advantage of those and leverage those and work together to keep those going. People always want to know at the cocktail party, what's going on? Okay, so here we go. Kmart. No, I'm not going to tell you who's coming to Kmart. Okay, I'm sorry. We do have a letter of intent from a very national retailer that everybody will love. There's a development meeting next week to move them to the next step, but we're getting close. Court Plaza project. As you know, the University Foundation acquired the Temple Hill Motel and Court Plaza project. That's going to fundamentally transform South Salisbury Boulevard. Close to 1,000 student beds, a mix of retail and other services. It's really going to connect, as they say, the town and gown. It's really going to help our area. We got our first new grocery store in quite a while with Aldi, and beside that, there's going to be a fast casual restaurant and waterfront dining in the rear at kind of the edge of Leonard's Mill Pond. That's going to be a cool attraction for us. In Ocean Pines, we've talked about the PRMC facilities and what they're doing for decentralizing healthcare from one major campus to being able to get around the area. How many people know that there was $31 million of car dealership transactions this year? Sandy left. I wanted to see her roll out of her chair. And Brent only knows because I told him. It kind of blew me away, but there was some major transactions of car dealerships this year. Further consolidation, further scaling, someone talked about. Of course, we've heard about rocket labs in Accomack and other, just the tremendous amount of other space activity. That's cool stuff. Other notable projects, Cambridge Marketplace, you heard about that. I didn't think in my career I would say there's a Starbucks and a Chick-fil-A in Cambridge. I just really didn't see that coming. But yeah, exactly. So, anyway, that's a notable project, and that Kmart has been vacant for, Jeff, 20 years? Something like that. I mean, that's going to be an amazing facility right there, and further proof of what's happening in healthcare. Woods Road, we heard somebody talk about Protenergy. How many people have ever heard of Protenergy besides Henry Hanna? Okay, like 3 or 4 people. They're like BASF. They make the food you eat, you just don't know it's their food. But they're spending $10 million on expanding that facility. The whole Woods Road corridor in Cambridge is becoming a major upgraded industrial corridor. Interstate Container just got sold to a British company, I believe. So a lot of things. Allen Herm Poultry is now fully Delaware-based with a significant investment in Sussex County in their corporate headquarters, in a deboning plant in Millsboro, a big new hatchery in Dagsboro. So they've been a Seaford company for 100 years, but they've moved and furthered their commitment to Sussex County. Delmarva Central Railroad, they bought the BASF facility. That's going to be an offload facility. Cliff, there's a technical term for it. I'm not allowed to call it a transload facility. I got yelled at, but it's trains coming in and taking stuff and putting stuff on. And that's good because that's going to further rail activity in our area. When you become a cool area, you're not called what you really are. You get a nickname. You're West O, okay? You're not West Ocean City, you're West O. And that's there's a lot going on down there. If you haven't really been there and looked around, somebody mentioned earlier the Hooper's Plaza, which is under construction. There's a little coffee shop from Seattle going to anchor that facility. You may have heard of them. But a lot of hotels, a lot of retail activity, retail disruption. People are leaving White Marlin Mall and the outlet centers, going to Ocean Landings where Home Depot and Target are, or Walmart. And what's happening at White Marlin and the outlets? They're filling those up. So the retail disruption is just kind of shifting people around, but it's showing the demand and the market is still there. If you didn't know, there's a new DQ going to take over the old Wendy's in front of the White Marlin Mall. So get your blizzards. In Princess Anne, the Patriots Distillery, UMES Boulevard, they called it the Princess Anne Campground. There's a lot of things are happening there. A lot of stuff going on all over our market. So what's our challenges? Interest rate pressures. Interest rates are continuing to increase. I haven't seen a massive effect on it, but it's got people's attention. They're not, they're in the high 4s, low 5s, depending on your deal. Some banks still are a little more aggressive on deals, but that's going to have somewhat of a calming effect. The Amazon effect, of course, now the Amazon effect is there in Northern Virginia, and what kind of benefit is that for people supplying Amazon from this area? But also the retail disruption, big box closures, as more and more people buy. Anybody buy anything on Amazon this month? Okay, so you see what's going to happen there. New workspace expectations. A lot of talk about what people want in workspace. Do they want open space? Do they want cool space? Do they want gyms and lounges and, workout space like Google has? Or do they want traditional, 9x12 offices with closed doors? A lot of changes in that area. Of course, we've talked about training programs and supporting those. That's critical. There's some stubborn properties, I call them. Some are finally coming to fruition. I've been messing around for about 7 years with the old Hebron Maytech building on Route 50. We had it sold to a gentleman who was convinced he was going to get a cannabis license. He doesn't own it anymore because he didn't get his license. His lender now owns it, but next week we've got a new company going to settlement on it that's going to consolidate a couple of businesses under one roof. So some of those are finally coming off the shelf. Scale is becoming more critical to survival. Available housing is just, having that and having a vibrant residential construction economy is critical. Of Quick look at residential. I'm not a residential agent. Just thought these numbers were interesting. 2017, Wycomico, you can see they sold 1275 and 1162. Now, for those of you that know Sussex County, this number blew me away. Oh, I'm sorry, units were down, sale price was up. Sussex County, I had a quiz of my guys the other day and only one of them got it right. 2017, they sold 5,600 units at an average price of $340,000. If you can't do that in your head, that's just short of $2 billion of single-family transactions in Sussex County alone. And by the way, Sussex County charges a 4% transfer tax. You do the math. This year was slightly down, still about 1.7 billion. Units were down, but again, sale price is up. So expectations, Delmarva will continue to be found, especially if we all work together as a region, we continue to promote it, and we continue to do our job to expand our businesses. Confidence is waning a little bit. You hear it somewhat on the national level. I'm still pretty confident about Delmarva for 19. Opportunities will still be found, even in a declining economy. There's real estate opportunities and a lot of that, but it has to be based on the fundamentals. Problem that happened in 2006, 7, 8, people forgot the fundamentals. And they, as I said, I think one of these speeches, people, if you had a doghouse with a water bowl in front of it, people would have bought it and called it waterfront property. That's how bad it was back then. More ground-up construction will be seen as the supply of existing buildings dwindle. More people are going to come out of the dirt. Thank you very much. You got any questions, see me, stop me at lunch, and I'll let you go to lunch. Thank you.